The 4th of March 1921 was the first Friday Mass of the month. Many had made their way to the church in Gowal and were part of the congregation inside when the troops arrived. Willie Kane takes up the story. 9:45 a.m.
It starts at Gowal Church on the 4th of March 1921. There was Mass there on that day, and people in the area usually did the first Fridays.
Elizabeth Moffat, also known as Babby Costello, who grew up in Gowal just a short distance away from Gowal Church, she recalls what she heard of that morning.
The soldiers came out to Gowal, and I usually them saying that we need to go to church. It was the first Friday morning, and the priest was saying Mass, and the people in the church got all under I usually hear the telling that.
On that particular morning, they were at Mass. Mass was being said by, as far as I know, Father O'Reilly was the priest in Gowal that morning. Well, without knowing it, they may have heard the noise of the lorries outside, but a number of, I think they were black and tans. A number of black and tans came into the church. They had a good look around at the number of people who were at Mass to see if you could recognise any of them. They didn't, so they proceeded on to the altar.
And they went up on the altar and they shook the priest. And I don't think anyone out of Gowal had anything to do with the ambush and Sheemore, you know what I mean? I don't know.
And when the troops went into the church, did they search the people inside?
No, I heard nothing about the people, it was the priest.
Yeah.
The priest went up on the altar. There was a song made up after about Sheemore, and I remember what was in the song was, and the priest on the altar, they gave a great scold. But I don't think they interfered with him now. But we got an awful threat, you know.
It may have been very embarrassing for all concerned because Mass was probably being offered at the time. They probably had a good look around the altar and into the sacristy. Not being interested in any of the people who were at Mass, they eventually withdrew out of the church. There is a story told that when they were leaving the church, the man in charge of the contingent of British soldiers, he plucked a bunch of daffodils.
I never heard that.
From the church grounds. In fact, up until in my youth, there were still daffodils around, but I don't think they're there anymore. And then they got on to the lorries and headed back out towards the crossroads west of the school and turned left down, it's toward Drumliffin Crossroads.
The lorry was coming down from Gowal Church.
Yes, I think it's James Lynch's. When they got to Drumliffin, they turned left on Queenie's Crossroads.
Down by Malahon's, down there.
It's short distance to Malahon's gate. A gate which has been there in my memory, and it's the gate of the estate of Mike, that originally was Michael Malahon and his son Paddy. Now, usually, I'm sure on that morning there was nobody at the gate because the Malahon residence is about at least 100 yards in from the gate, way in where the river runs down to the Ballinamore-Ballyconnell Canal. There were 3 lorries in the convoy. They proceeded past the gate for a short distance and then shots rang out. It's easy to identify where they stopped. And they stopped and got off the lorries and took cover behind the walls.
They did, someplace around there.
And where they stopped, was that where the plaque is today?
Well, as far as I know now, it would be. Yeah, apparently the ambush took place just where the plaque is. Or I mean, the British soldiers were there, the lorries were there. And then in fact, there were 3 lorries of British soldiers which made it quite a target. Now, if I can give you a small idea of the number of men who were in the firing party on the hill. They were IRA volunteers.